church means to me, subtitle, hatched, matched, and to be dispatched is my subtitle. Thanks to Gwen there. Well, I was born in Vancouver, BC, on April 25th, 1937. That makes it in Japanese, Showa 4月25日. Also, I was baptized at the Holy Cross Mission on Cordova Street 1 month after I was born. And my godparents were Reverend W. Gale, Reverend G.G. Nakayama, and Miss Margaret Peggy Foster. And they're all on my baptismal certificate as proof. When I was born, I was the third generation member of the Holy Cross Mission. And it wasn't called a church back then, it was called a mission because it was a mission to the Japanese-speaking people at the time. And I was a member of the, or student of the kindergarten at Holy Cross until 1942. And 1942 was a black day for all Japanese people at the time on the West Coast. We got shipped out to the interior, to different parts of BC. Some went to Alberta. During 1942-46, the missionaries like Miss Foster, Miss Gail Tucker, Reverend G.G. Nakayama visited the various camps in the Kootenays. In the summer of 1946, my family went to Japan. My mother is the one that chose to go to Japan for some reason. She was born here. However, we left Vancouver in the summertime on a ship called General Meigs. And when we got there, my mother first went to Osaka to look for a job. So my dad, my two sisters, and myself were at my grandma's house, and there were all kinds of conflicts. However, also the food was scarce, and I think this was one of the reasons why grandma was very upset with us coming in after the war. But during this time I was in Japan, around 1948, I was informed by my relatives who were still living in Canada, in Vernon, to get me across to Japan, or back to Canada. So while this was going on, my mother took me to Osaka, from Osaka to Tokyo to get me ready for my immigration out of Japan to Canada again. So that meant I had to get my passport, get my shots, get my health checked out. So I guess I was okay because I came across. And we left, I left Japan in 1949, around May. And we got to San Francisco. And at San Francisco, after a few days, several days I guess, we were in San Francisco, and at that time, I didn't know until after I got to Vernon. But anyways, when we left San Francisco with some people who traveled across the ocean with me, we were going to Kelowna, so they took me and guided me to get to Vernon, which is one stop before their stop. So anyways, I got to Vancouver okay. But the thing was, when I got to the border at White Rock, I was missing my passport. And I had my birth certificate, those big long one. So I showed him that, telling him that. And I got through okay on that. And several days after, we got a letter from the hotel where I stayed in San Francisco, enclosed with my passport that somebody had brought over and found, and it was sent to me So that was one little problem that went. Now, during the time in Vernon, when I stayed with Nakatsukas, I think some of you remember my cousin Jerry Nakatsuka. I stayed with his family till I was able to get my work. I worked at the sawmill, by the way, in a place called Divine, BC. I was there from 1954 to 59, I should say. I worked there 5 years, made some money, enough to pay for my further education. So I took the interrupted program because I dropped out of school after grade 10. And I worked at the sawmill after that because they were hiring anybody with, I guess, strong back. Now, after 5 years of work, I came to a college called Sure Pass Pacific College, and took 2 years course in 1 year because of it's called the interrupted program, which was available back then. So I was able to get grade 11 and grade 12 together in 1 year. So I passed all that, and then I took my senior matric at Northland High. And then from there I went to UBC. And at UBC I took the education course so I can become a teacher at the elementary level. And all that time, during my practicum and all that, my religious part was still okay because my grandmother, she was a very devout person, and she attended the Anglican Church. While in Vernon, she attended the All Saints Anglican Church in Vernon. And in 1954, when we came down from Vernon to here, North Vancouver, we attended the St. John Evangelist Anglican Church, I think it is. I think that was. And after that, during my teacher training, I had practice teaching on Broadway at Clark Drive, which is a big elementary school. And I was room and boarding close by, so I didn't have to travel all the way from North End. And during that time, while I was room and boarding, my weekends were free, so I was able to go and visit an old friend on Hastings Street who was a friend of my dad, who was a photographer. His name was Shingo Murakami. And he was the one that directed me back to the church, saying that there is a church close by to where I'm staying, which was on 11th Avenue. And there, on one of their service, which I attended, at that time, Father John Gisella was there. And there, I met a young lady at one of Murakami's garden party, I guess you'd call it. There I met my future wife-to-be. So now, you could say that Holy Cross had matched me with a right person who's still with me. And anyways, in between time, in the time there, I taught up north in a place called Chetland for a couple of years, and another after finishing my university program through summer courses, which I spent 2 summers and got my degree. Well, the rest is history, as you know me now. Now I'm retired from teaching, I've retired from other form of work, like worked in the cannery, went fishing with my father-in-law, but still, I'm here. Hope to complete my life cycle here as a Holy Cross member. And that's my story. That's what this church means to me, to complete my whole cycle as a Holy Crosser. Thank you.
Thank you.